Hey guys, in this video we are going to add the information of the room into our database. So let's here try to add a new room. Let's first add the location of the room. Let's here search for Kurchiba, for example. And let's zoom in and add the location here. And here let's update the price and add any title and add description as well. And let's go to add images. Let's choose these two images. And our submit button appears here, so we can submit this information of the room. And now our room added successfully, and these are the details of the room. And if we go to the map, we can spread this cluster to see our room. And here's our room, and this is the information of the room. It is a slider, and here is our title and the description and the price as well. So let's get started working on this functionality. Let's go to server side and add a new model. Let's call it room. And first let's import Mongoose from Mongoose package. And let's create the schema for our room. Let's call it room schema. Mongoose.schema, and we are going to pass our object here. The first field is longitude. It is of type number and it is required. And let's copy it twice, one for the latitude and the other one for the price. Here let's change it to add minimum value to be 0 and maximum value 50 and the default 0. Title of type string. And it is required. Min length 6 characters and max length 150 characters. And let's copy it for the description. Let's change the field name to be description and the min length to be 10, max length to be 1000 characters. I think the title is the min length is 5 characters, not 6 characters. And let's add our images URLs. It is of type array. This array will hold the URLs of the images of the room. And let's validate this value. It is a function. We will receive the value and we will check that it is an array. And the length of this array is more than 0. That means it contains at least one URL. User ID is of type string and it is required. And let's copy it twice, one for the username and the other one for the photo of the user. And the default value is an empty string. And let's add here timestamp for creation and updating. Now let's create our model, mongoose.model, and we are going to name the collection inside our database to be rooms, and let's pass the schema of the collection here. Now let's export this model. Let's save and go to our controllers. Here we use this controller create room just for testing. We test the authorization using this one. Let's delete it, we don't need it anymore. And here we are going to wrap it with our function try catch to catch any errors. We created this function before in utils. This is our function. We received the controller and we wrap it with a try and catch, and we handled the errors here. So let's go and wrap our controller with this function. And here let's extract the information of the user from the request. The ID, we are going to call it UID. The name, we are going to rename it uname. This is as per the field in our model we just created for the room. And we are going to extract it from request.user. This object, we've already added it in our middleware auth. So if we go to the routers, to the room router, here when we receive a post request to create room, we intercept this request by auth middleware. And in this auth, we added the user object after we verified the token of the user. If we go to this middleware, here we received the token of the user and we checked if it is Google token or custom token. After verification, we added the object user. It contains the ID, name, and photo URL. And this is the fields we extracted from that object. And now let's create a new room using our model room. And let's pass it an object. Let's spread here the request we received from client side. This is the fields of the room. And we are going to add here the information of the user owner of this room. And let's wait to save this room into our database. If everything is successful, we will send back status 201. That means it is created successfully. Success true, and result, it will be the new created room. And let's save and go to client side. Let's go to our component add room. And here let's create state for the submit button. And the default value is false. That means it is not appearing. And let's use effect here. This use effect will depend on steps, if it is completed or not. These are our steps. So here we will check if all our steps completed. We are going to use this function find unfinished. This function check if all our steps are completed. If it is completed, this function will retain -1. That means this function couldn't find any unfinished step. So let's check if the result of this function equals -1, that means all our steps have been completed. So in this case, we will check if the state of show submit is false. We will set it to be true. And let's copy it and paste it here. It is the opposite of this situation. If there is a step still not completed, we will set it to be false. And here let's add our button. Let's add the state here. Only in case it is true, we will show the button. Let's add it in stack. And let's align this button to be in the center. Variant contained. And let's add an icon to the end of this button. And on a click, we are going to create a function handle submit. Let's wrap everything here with this box. Let's cut it and add it here. And let's add this padding to this box. Now let's create this function. For now, we will just add an empty function just to test how it looks. And let's save and check. Let's search for Mumbai. And let's add the details. Test title and test description. And let's go to images tab. Let's add an image. And here is our button appears. If we deleted this image, it disappeared. And if we added images again, our button appeared again. So our functionality is working correctly. Let's go back and work on our handle submit function. Let's go to actions and add a new one for the room. We are going to use this utils function to fetch data. We are going to pass the URL, the method, the default is post, token and body. And this function will try to send a request. If there is error, it will handle the error and retain null. Otherwise, it will retain the result object. So let's first create the URL. We're going to bring the server URL from our environment variable, server underscore URL, and we are going to add the room here. And let's export a new function, create room, to receive the room object, the current user, so we can send the token of the user and the dispatcher as well. And this function is a sync function because we are going to wait for a promise. First, let's show the loading icon. And let's copy it and end this loading, and in between we are going to add our functionality. So here let's send our request using the function fetch data. We are going to pass an object. This object contains the URL, the body is the room, and the token is the current user token. And we will pass the dispatcher as well. And let's check if the result is not null, that means it is an object. We will show a successful message for the user. Type update alert. Payload is an object. Open true. Severity success. And the message, the room has been added successfully. Let's save and use this function. Let's go back to our handle submit function and let's create the room object. We are going to use the information inside our global context. Here's images, details, and location, and we need the current user and the dispatch as well. So let's extract our information here. Longitude is the location.longitude and latitude is location.latitude. Price is details.price. Title from details. And the description as well. And we will pass the images array. And here let's use our function or action create room. Let's import it. And let's pass it our room object, the current user, and the dispatcher. And let's save and check. Let's try to submit this room. Oh, there's something wrong with our request. Let's go back and check what's wrong with our request. Here in our server, the error is the description. There's no description, it is undefined. Let's check what we sent here. I misspelled the description, sorry. It is E, not I. Let's save and check again. Let's submit. There is another error. Let's check our console. It is from our fetch data function when we created the room. Let's check the network. Let's submit again to check the network. What is the request? It is 201, that means it is created correctly. Let's check the response. Okay, I also misspelled here the success. So the fetch data is checking the success and there is no success. Sorry about that again. Something wrong with me with misspelling today. Here the fetch data is checking the success, but there is no success though. So it throws an error. There is no message inside our data, so the error message is empty. Let's go to our controller on the server side and correct this mistake to be success. And let's save and check again. Let's submit now. It is now successfully. Let's check our database. Here's our collection rooms. We've added our room 3 times. Just in first time and second time the alert was not working correctly. But here's the information of our room: longitude, latitude, price, title, description, and the images here, an array of 2 URLs. All our information is here. Now after adding the room, we should clear all the old information here, and we should open the map page to show the room information on the map. So let's work on that. Let's go first to our context provider. These are the default values of the room. Images is an empty array, details, title is empty, description empty, price is 0, and location 0 and 0. Let's go to the reducer and add a new action. Let's call this action reset room. And we will retain the same state. And reset images to be empty array. Details to be an object. Title empty. Description empty. And the price 0. And the same for the location. Longitude and latitude 0. And let's save and go to our action. After the creation is successful, we are going to dispatch this reset action to reset the information in the context. And let's go to our button nav. This nav controls which page is open. The map value is 0. And this is the function controls this state. Let's pass it to our add room component. You can add it in the global context, but in this case I'm going to pass it as a prop. I'm gonna call it set page and pass this function to this prop. And let's save and go to our add room and extract this prop. Set page, and we are going to pass this function as a parameter to our function create room. Let's add it here, and let's go back to our action or function create room, extract it here, and after resetting the information we will open the map page, so we will set the page to be 0. Let's save and check again. It is now cleared because we updated our global context. So let's add a new room. Let's search for Florida. And let's add a price and title. And description as well. Next to images step. And let's upload these 2 images. And let's submit. Now our room added successfully, and now the open page is the map page. If we go to add section, everything cleared out except the location. There's something wrong with the location. I'm sure I misspelled something. Let's go back and check in our reducer. Okay, when we reset the location, okay, I also misspelled here the location. I'm sorry. Let's save. Okay, let's add room here in Leiden. Title, test title. And description, test room description. And let's go to add images. Let's add these 3 images. And let's submit. And now everything has been set to the default. Everything is working now. Now if we log out and try to add a new room, let's search for example for Hanoi. And add location here. Add details here. Title and description. And add some images. If we submit, the server won't allow us to add this room because we are not authorized. We are not authenticated user. So our request has been rejected from the server side. We need here to change our client side. So if it is anonymous user, not authenticated user, we are not going to show this page for the user. We are going to show this message, forbidden access, and button for the user to log in or register. So let's work on that. Let's create a new folder in the components. Let's call it a protected and add inside it a component protected.js. And let's start building this component. We are going to extract the children of this parent component. This component will be the parent of the protected component. Here let's extract the current user from our global context. We need to check if the user is authenticated. So if there's a user, we will retain the children of this component. Otherwise, we are going to show that message for the user. Let's create that message. We are going to call it access message. Let's add container. And let's give it vertical padding 5. And let's use alert component from Material UI. Inside it, the title of the alert, forbidden access. And let's add the props of the alert, severity error, and variant outlined. And let's add the message here. Please log in or register to access this page. And let's add the button to open login model. Let's add the prop of this button, variant outlined. And let's give it margin from left to. Start icon, the look from the Material UI icons. And on a click, We are going to dispatch the action to open the login model. Let's import here the dispatcher from the global context. And let's use it here, dispatch type open login. Let's save and use this component in our component protected. Let's add it here. And let's save and go to our component bottom navigation. And let's wrap this component add room with our component protected. Add room component is the child of a protected. Let's save and check. Now we are not allowed to see that page in the client side if the user is not authenticated. So let's try to log in. Let's use this account. Now we are back to business. And if we submit, our room has been added successfully. And all the old information cleared out. So our functionality is working correctly. And in our next video we are going to work on the cluster, how to show all our rooms on the map, and you can just from these icons spread out all the rooms level by level, and it depends how many rooms are close to each other. So see you guys in our upcoming video.